Well, good morning, brothers and sisters in Christ, patriots, Americans. How are you doing? Well, I don't know where to start because so much has happened in the last few days. Um, let's try to break it down as best we can. We're finding out that now there was a second possible shooter on top of the wall tower, the water tower, further back, high up with a downrange angle, which for anyone with moderate shooting experience with a scope can easily take out. We're also finding that most of the Secret Service agents that day were temps. They weren't the real deal because if you look at the security guards there that day and the very next night where Trump had the top-notch crew at the RNC convention, this whole thing was nothing more than a DS setup. And Kim Cheadle, who has no law enforcement security experience, was appointed by Joe Biden, has a lot to answer for. And she happens to be good friends with the Cheneys also. People who want Donald Trump out of the way. This is not a coincidence. And you know what else I realized? That Trump in Butler Township, Pennsylvania was covered live from all the networks. All the networks. Because they never, ever cover his rallies live like that with all the networks doing it. They record it and they'll show you stuff later. You think that's a coincidence? This is not a coincidence. And the fact that people who are mad, who are calling this that it was staged, let me remind you how the government works. First of all, your translation is it was staged because he missed, and you're mad about that. Second of all, let me remind you that the Secret Service is part of the executive branch. Who is the head of the executive branch? You guessed it, Joe Biden. Who's under him that answers for this? Department of Homeland Security. And his appointee, Mayorkas, who's already been impeached once for his neglect at the border, and Schumer just didn't bother to prosecute because he doesn't believe in the Constitution, is also in charge. And then you got Kim Cheadle, with no law enforcement security experience, who had to give the final say on his detail. Now, as this is going on, of course, Trump's ratings and approval has gone through the roof. He looked good in his speech last night. It was a very nice speech. I mean, most convention speeches are really, really not that exciting anyway. They just aren't. I mean, same thing with inauguration day speeches. It's a speech of, what am I going to do? This is my plan. Here it is. This is fine. It's the way it's supposed to be. But now as that goes down and the realization of Biden is not going to win because, again, Biden is the head of the executive branch. Jim Cheadle is the Secret Service director. Mayorkas is his Department of Homeland Security director. Everyone knows this now. There's nothing to hide anymore. His ratings are dropping faster than the 1929 stock market crash. I think it was 1929. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or the housing market in around 2008. So now there's negotiations. Now Biden just happens to get COVID. Now, in his defense, there is a COVID spike going on this summer around the country. The media doesn't tell you that because, well, it's not important anymore. It didn't work the first time. We're moving to something else. And he knows he wasn't wearing his mask, and the Secret Service detail wasn't staying 6 feet away either. I'm just saying. So the factions, negotiations are probably going on right now. Or how is he going to step down? Is he going to step down right away and make Kamala the president right now and make her the nominee? Or is Biden going to finish out his term and make Kamala the nominee to be president? And you know there are 5 factions fighting over this. One, the Bidens are still fighting because they don't want to leave. But with all the stuff they have on the Bidens, They can cherry pick off that laptop what they want and prosecute and impeach all of them. Well, impeach Brian and impeach Hunter, Jill, Joe, and everyone in his family. And then there is the five factions, of course, the Obama faction. Obama's a big Kamala Harris fan. I don't know, probably because she's about as incompetent as he is. Only she doesn't have his speaking skills or his charisma, or doesn't have his ridiculous word salads. Who else? But let's face it, Michelle Obama always gave the impression she never liked politics. She just did it because she wanted the personal lifestyle. But now they put a gun to this thing's head because she's a black female transgender. Ooh, did I say that by purpose? They may have to put her there. Then you got the Clinton faction because Hillary wants that job the worst way. And I'm telling you, the other factions, you better be careful you don't get killed by them. The Newsom faction, Gavin Newsom. Who else we got? We got Gavin Newsom, Obama, Biden, Kamala Harris herself, because there's been a lot of talk about Harris become president, moving over for another candidate. You think she just wants to be passed over when she has a chance to become president? I don't think so, because we know she spent most of her career on her back and her knees, working her way to the top. So, being that she's pushing 60, she doesn't have quite that power no more. Who knows what she's doing? And then there, I think there's a snake oilsman himself, Gavin Newsom, the used car salesman. Call him what you want. So we got Newsom, Harris, Biden, Obama, Clinton. They're your five factions. And right now, the rumors, the only rumors for VP to take Kamala's spot is still also Gavin Newsom of California. Hillary Clinton's too prideful to want that job. Unless the plan was to make her president, then she might do it. But I heard nothing of her name being mentioned. Kentucky Governor Beshear is also another one. And of course, the Nazi in Michigan, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who shut the whole state down, told her citizens she can't leave across state lines as she took a private plane to Florida. Husband was on the boat fishing while everyone else couldn't, but because she thought he was the governor's husband, he could do what he wanted. This is what you're dealing with, folks. This is what you're dealing with here. And what else can we put in this mix? You know, we saw Kim Cheetah last night walk away from a lot of GOP senators, and what happened? She walked away, wouldn't answer any questions, did a President Obama double time, walked away. And she's going to have to answer questions eventually, because anyone who knows anything about law enforcement security, even just common sense, knows that was a deep state setup. And the fact that I realized that Raleigh was covered live by all the networks when they never are, so they could edit them, tells you something was going down that day. Well, let me know what you think. Comments down below. What's your opinion like to know? Keep the country in prayer. Jesus Christ is still king. God's in control. Pray for Donald Trump and his family, because they're going to do another attempt. They're not going to be able to shoot him. I think they'll try to food poison him, or maybe make his plane crash. Who knows? I hope he's got his own security detail watching that plane like a fine-tooth comb. Anyway, we'll talk to you later. God bless you all.